Good afternoon, everyone. The universities of Wisconsin are committed to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It is our expectation that this audience will allow our proceedings to occur without disruption. Any disruptions to the event will be handled swiftly with responsible individuals subject to disciplinary actions and/or other citations for the disruption. UW-Milwaukee students involved will be referred to the Dean of Students office. And with that announcement, Megan, could you please call the roll?
Regent President Bogost.
Here.
Regent Vice President Weatherly.
Here.
Regent Adams. Regent Fritz. Regent Goydom. Regent Cruiser. Regent Menedides. Regent Nixon.
Here.
Regent Palzowitz.
Here.
Regent Prince.
Here.
Regent Rye.
Here.
Regent Rogers.
Here.
Regent Salzwedel.
Here.
Regent Terwilliger.
Here.
Regent Traynor.
Here.
Regent Underley.
Here.
And Regent Walsh.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Megan. As we consider items on today's agenda, are there board members who wish to declare any conflicts of interest regarding today's open session agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will proceed. The records of the April 20th, 22nd, and May 5th, 2026 meetings of the UW System Board of Regents have been provided. Are there any corrections? Okay, hearing none, the minutes are approved. Okay. Welcome to the June Board of Regents meeting. I'd like to thank Chancellor Gibson and his wonderful team for their very warm hospitality in hosting this meeting. And I have to say the food has been excellent so far. There's a lot of pressure because for me, that's extremely important. So thank you. And thank you to all of the people that have helped make this possible. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. This is a university that always has a lot going on, along with various meeting-related updates from our hosts. We look forward to the Chancellor's report later this afternoon to learn more. We have a lot of introductions today, both of new colleagues and colleagues in new roles that we'd like to welcome. As always, we will call upon our chancellors to do the honors. President Wachter, could you start us off?
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Indeed, we do have a lengthy list of introductions for the board today. Let us start with UW-Oshkosh. Chancellor Singh, I believe you have several new members of your team that you would like to introduce.
I actually do. We have three colleagues I have met in the morning, so they are here. One is our CBO, CFO, Dr. Mahendra Dugal. He's here in the audience. He's waving at us. He comes to us from being a professor of strategy and finance and also from Wall Street experience, so I think he brings some very good skill set. So that's one. I have our new Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management, Juliet Strom. I'm not sure if she's here, but she has been in the meeting since morning, and she's sitting there, so she's waving. Thank you so much, Julie, for being here. I saw you in the morning, too. So she's very accomplished enrollment management vice president at Southern Connecticut State University for the last 7 years. Good record. And the third one is our newest addition, interim provost to be effective July 1, Josh Garrison. He's one of our faculty colleagues, but currently he's also the vice provost of faculty affairs and policy, academic policies. So we are very happy that the team is building up, and of course Ed is leaving for his chancellorship, so I will be missing him, but my very best wishes for him, and he knows that I have his phone number. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, we should note that since the last board meeting in April, UW-Eau Claire named its 9th chancellor, and it is the individual we are all familiar with, Edwin Ed Martini, the current provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs at UW-Oshkosh. Ed will start in his new role just right around the corner on July 1st, so I think we'll have our formal introduction at the July meeting. In the meantime, congratulations, Ed. We also have a number of new colleagues in the provost rank. Chancellor Beebe, let's begin with UW-La Crosse.
Good afternoon, everyone. At UW-La Crosse, we will welcome an interim provost, Sandy Grunwald. I hope she's here somewhere. She is currently the associate provost and will take over and fill the big shoes being left by Betsy Morgan, who is retiring at the end of the month, in early July. So I'm not sure if I can talk about Betsy for just a minute or two, if that's allowed. It'll take longer than a couple of minutes, but I will keep it to 2 minutes. I do want to acknowledge Betsy's amazing service to the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse and to the universities of Wisconsin. 33 years at our university, 12 years as a provost, which is a very long time. Each year is a dog year, so I really appreciate that. Rare among provosts. Was an amazing provost, transformative leader focused on academic excellence and putting people first, had the respect of colleagues both on campus throughout the state and throughout the country, had a unique sense of humor, has a unique sense of humor, a mixture of a lot of different things, and I will miss her terribly. We really appreciate all the work she's done, and I also want to mention that, as you all know, Betsy stepped up to be interim chancellor at probably the most challenging moment in the university's history, facing very difficult circumstances, and led with amazing grace and kept that campus together, and was just fantastic and was very kind in the transition when I joined the campus, and has just been a great thought partner and a wonderful person to work with, and we'll miss her. I will miss her a lot, and I just want to say thank you in front of all of your colleagues here. What an amazing servant you've been for this university and for this University of Wisconsin. So thank you. Thank you, Betsy.
Next, we're moving on to UW Stout and Chancellor Frank. Chancellor Frank has a new provost starting in August, and they will formally be introduced there. But she'd like to say a few parting words to her outgoing provost, Glenda Lee.
Yes, so all of you know Glenda Lee Rodriguez. She has been the provost since 2019, and I don't have to tell you what a valuable thought partner, incredible leader, and exceptional educator Glenda Lee is. I have watched her navigate the most challenging of circumstances, keep her cool, be kind, and yet be persistent, and get things done. I have learned from her. She helped onboard me as a new chancellor, and I have learned from her knowledge of the institution, her laser focus on our Polytechnic mission, her work with the HLC, as well as with Baldridge. She is just a wealth of knowledge about our institution, but also about the larger context of higher education. So I will miss working with her immensely, but I enjoy in this current role, but I know I'll enjoy working with her in her faculty role, and I know our students are going to benefit from her return to the classroom. So thank you, Glenda Lee. You're amazing.
And looking north, we have a new provost colleague at UW Superior. Interim Chancellor Maria Cuso, would you do the introduction?
Thank you, Interim President Wachter. It is my sincere honor to introduce our interim provost, Dr. Nick Dantz, who is serving in that role as of now. Nick began his career as a faculty member, professor in the Natural Science Department, progressed to department chair, became the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, and then has progressed at this point to the interim provost role. He is a pleasure to work with. You all are going to be very lucky having him join your ranks, and I look forward to this new part of our evolving relationship.
And I'll take this opportunity to thank Maria for stepping in my stead as interim chancellor at UW Superior, and I know the institution is in very good hands. And finally, last but not least, let's hear from Chancellor King at UW-Whitewater.
Thank you very much, Interim President. Peter DeHart is our new chancellor, our new provost.
Wait a second.
I said
Did you
that to get
forget
a
to tell us
response,
something?
and y'all walked into it. Our new provost at the UW-Whitewater, Peter DeHart, comes to us as Associate Provost in Research and Dean of Graduate Studies, Minnesota State University, Mankato. He will join us on June 15th. On another note, time and time again, Robin Fox has been called to serve UW-Whitewater, and she has answered the call with enthusiasm and dedication. As interim provost, she's modeled thoughtful leadership, showed compassion for all, and took decisive action to keep our university at both our locations robust, moving forward, focused on student experience and the student success. We are appreciative of Dr. Fox, who's agreed to serve with us until June 30th. Dr. Fox is an amazing person, an amazing leader. She is one of the most thoughtful, compassionate leaders that I have run into in my 30-plus years of higher education. But more importantly, I leave also with a great friend. So thank you, Dr. Fox, for your service.
Thank you, and a warm welcome to all of our new colleagues. We look forward to having an opportunity to get to know you and work with all of you in the coming months and years ahead. President Bogost, back to you.
Thank you, President Wachter. 2 reports from the Wisconsin Technical College System Board have been provided. Are there any comments or questions? Okay. Now I have some brief updates on several leadership searches that we have that are ongoing. First, just last week, the 24 members of the Search and Screen Committee for the new UW-Madison Chancellor were officially charged with their upcoming responsibilities. This committee, which I will chair alongside Annie Jones, a professor in the Division of Extension at UW-Madison, will now begin the process of identifying and then interviewing candidates to succeed Chancellor Mnookin. Other members of this board serving on the committee are Regent Goydam, Regent Salzwedel, Regent Walsh, and Regent Weatherly. I thank my colleagues and all the other committee members for their commitments to this very, very important charge. Virtual listening sessions, which I encourage everyone to attend, will be held on June 15th and June 22nd for members of the campus and community to share their perspectives on what qualities the committee should look for in the next UW-Madison Chancellor. We are also in the process of conducting a search for the next president of the Universities of Wisconsin. In early May, a 25-member search committee was named to be chaired by Regent Ashok Rai. In addition to the Regent members, who also include Regent Adams, Regent Fritz, Regent Cruiser, Regent Palsewitz, Regent Prince, and Regent Rogers, the search committee has representation from every one of our universities, including chancellors, provosts, faculty, academic, and university staff, students, alumni, and community and business leaders. The Presidential Search Committee received its charge last month, and tomorrow will announce details about upcoming opportunities for citizens across the state to share their perspectives on the president of the UW system, so stay tuned. The successful candidates in both of these searches will require the approval of the full Board of Regents and are anticipated to be selected later this year. Turning to outreach, this board continues to recognize the ongoing collaborations between the Universities of Wisconsin and the state's business community with the most recent presentation of our Regent Business Partnership Award. Last week, awards were presented to UW-Stevens Point and the Marshfield Clinic. The relationship between the clinic and UWSP goes back decades, and it has been critical to the ongoing economic and literally the health of central and north central Wisconsin. We have a photo here, I believe, which is representative of the award. So thank you to Regent Salzwedel for the presentation and Chancellor Pratima, wherever over there, thank you. Through this partnership, UW-Stevens Point students gain hands-on clinical experience with Marshfield Clinic placements, translating classroom learning into real-world care. At the same time, funding from the clinics directly enabled UW-Stevens Point to expand and create high-demand programs that meet the state's needs. Congratulations to Interim Chancellor Pratima Gandhi and Marshfield Clinic CEO Dr. Brian Horniman. Celebrating business partnerships on another front, last month marked the second Universities of Wisconsin Business Day at the Capitol. With more than 50 legislative office meetings, 19 businesses from around the state came to Madison to participate and share their experiences and success stories to bring to life the real-world impact of these partnerships for Wisconsin communities, workforce, and economy. It was all part of efforts to help legislators better understand the critical role our universities and business partnerships play across the state. We have a brief video to share.
What has 87 posters and undergraduates from all over Wisconsin? It's Research in the Rotunda in the state capitol. Every spring we invite undergraduates from all campuses to...
We're going to get to that later. Now we have, at the Universities of Wisconsin, we're so proud to support businesses and entrepreneurs across the state. I'm just seeing if everyone's paying attention. It's pretty incredible how the universities support new businesses and help them grow. So many people across our state that perhaps have graduated from our universities have dreams of starting a business. And I have seen this firsthand, that some of these small businesses come to us with just an idea, and the universities take that idea with them and help them get started, to give them the confidence and support they need to flourish and grow their companies and businesses. I invite you to listen to all of the businesses that are here today to tell you about their experience with the universities and the support that they have received to continue to flourish and succeed.
Well, we are here to kind of tell the stories of our involvement with the university, how it has benefited our community, our region, and the importance of the university to our state.
That cohort, those mentors and the people that I worked with in that cohort gave me the confidence that I needed to be able to make a pitch, to get a small business loan, to understand forecasting, to know who my target market was. It changed the whole outlook of our business.
They really handheld and walked me through the whole process, whereas sometimes these things at the federal level, you may want to work with a consultant or hire someone on the outside. So it's nice to be able to receive funds without having to spend money in order to try to obtain them.
The problems are intimidating. The staff is anything but. The staff makes everything very accessible and doable and breaks it down into parts that you can address and handle.
I didn't even realize it existed until 6 years ago. It just kind of came across my desk through a mutual connection, and it's been a tremendous resource. And yeah, it's a huge help for entrepreneurs like myself to be able to have a sounding board that's essentially paid for by your taxes, and really smart professionals on the other side of the table helping you along the way.
These are trusted relationships. We would not exist without the staff from these various divisions of UW, and we're extremely grateful, extremely grateful.
We'd like to extend our appreciation to all those who participated in the Capitol Rotunda event, including reps from Universities of Wisconsin, the UW Office of Business and Entrepreneurship, WISIS, the Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation, UW Extension, the UWM Research Foundation, and the many, many business partners. In other action at the Capitol, as you heard at our last meeting, the UWs hosted the 22nd Annual Research in the Rotunda event in mid-March. About 125 students from all 13 of our universities participated in this grand celebration of undergraduate research. For those who are not able to attend, we now have a brief video to show you what it was all about.
What has 87 posters and undergraduates from all over Wisconsin? It's Research in the Rotunda in the state capitol. Every spring we invite undergraduates from all campuses to come and show us what they've been inventing and researching. So come along and take a look at this year's projects.
So I'm here in the capital of Wisconsin, which is very exciting, at Research in the Rotunda.
Our research is about traumatic brain injuries.
My research analyzes a quantum algorithm.
We worked with Wisconsin Land and Water to improve the DACAP survey.
The coherence of the hemisphere and how it relates to the presence or absence of maltreatment during early life.
Covalent adaptable networks, a new type of polymer that has kind of emerged in the past 2 decades.
Focusing on the monk students here at our campus.
Adaptive musical instruments.
Accessibility and inclusivity in the performing arts.
Machine learning algorithms.
My research project studies the illusory truth effect.
It's definitely a mixture of a little nervous, a little excitement, but it's just cool to be here, to see all of the different research that kids are doing in the state. It's just a really exciting thing.
I love it. It's what I want to do, so that's why I'm here. That's why I want to present my research. That's why I'm passionate about it. It's the thing that I love to do.
Honestly, the best part of this is seeing how many young minds there are and seeing that our future is in such good hands.
A lot of students don't really get an opportunity to do research on the side like this, so I feel really excited, I feel grateful, I just feel happy. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm just super happy to be a part of it.
This event really is a unique opportunity for students and the faculty advisors who work with them to showcase their research and how it connects to real-world issues. It's very impressive, and if any of you have not been to it, I encourage all of you to attend. It's pretty incredible. I mean, half the time I have no idea what our students are telling me, but I try to fake it at least. But it's so impressive. So you can catch the 23rd annual edition next spring. And now I have some remarks. As outgoing president, I'm taking liberties. And as I think I learned from Chancellor King, I will be authentic. I think that's a better word than blunt, but I appreciate all of you, and it's only about an hour and a half, so get comfortable. 6 years ago, I stepped into this work with a full heart and high hopes. And to every member of this board, to our administration, our chancellors, our faculty, staff, students, alumni, and citizens across Wisconsin, thank you. Serving as vice president and then your president has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. There have been no shortage of hard moments. This board has faced difficult decisions, public pressure, sharp disagreements, and moments when the path forward was not easy or obvious. I've many times been the complainant in chief, and I have deep gratitude to the #1 recipient of that, my steadfast thought partner, Vice President Regent Weatherly, as well as Chris Patton, Megan, Stephen, Kristen, and so many amazing board colleagues. You know who you are, and I thank you for helping me get through some very tough moments. But complaints only matter if they lead somewhere. And what I have seen on this board repeatedly is that hard conversations lead to better questions lead to stronger decisions. And stronger decisions helped us stay focused on the mission we are here to serve. We are not simply here to attend meetings or approve reports or hear beautiful stories that happen among and around our campuses. Regents are here to steward one of the most important public assets in Wisconsin. We are here to protect the mission of public higher education, to advocate for more students, for greater opportunity, for stronger communities, and for the betterment of the state. Our responsibility is to ask hard questions, make difficult decisions, and keep the long-term interests of Wisconsin at the center of everything we do. We owe that duty not to any one campus, any one political movement or moment, or any one constituency, but to the people of Wisconsin and to the generations of students who will depend on these universities long after we are gone. And this board has done that. We fought for reinvestment in public higher education. We advanced affordability and access. We supported enrollment strategies that are beginning to show real results. In fall of 2025, enrollment across the universities of Wisconsin reached more than 164,000 students, the third consecutive year of growth. We award approximately 37,000 degrees every year, and the annual impact of our universities is more than $24 billion. Higher education increases the earning power of all Wisconsin residents. A UW graduate will earn significantly more over a lifetime than a high school graduate. This makes all of our students and our state stronger. Every one of our campuses contributes to make our state better and stronger. And that matters. Jobs matter. Workforce development matters. Our universities must prepare students for the economy they are entering and the future that Wisconsin needs. But higher education has never been only vocational training, and we should never, ever allow it to be reduced to that. At its best, higher education is about building human beings. It is about helping students understand not only what they want to do, but who they want to become. We are not simply teaching students how to go work for others. We are giving them the life experiences, the confidence, the curiosity, and courage to become captains of their own ships. We are helping them expand their minds, understand themselves more deeply, understand the world more clearly, and contribute to something larger than themselves. That is the true power of public higher education. It prepares people for jobs, yes, but it also prepares them for citizenship, leadership, service, innovation, and the responsibilities of living in a democracy. Our universities do not just produce workers, they help form thinkers, builders, caregivers, business leaders, researchers, artists, public servants, neighbors, and leaders. And that is why we must never apologize for our mission. If you asked almost anyone in this room or across the state who has had the privilege of earning a university degree, they could tell you how it changed their life. It opened a door. It expanded their world. It gave them confidence, purpose, opportunity, and a future they may not have even imagined before. Our obligation is to make sure that the doors of opportunity are not merely open in theory, but reachable for every Wisconsinite with a desire and determination to walk through them. We should be very proud of that. We should say it clearly. We must brag more about who we are and what these universities do. Of course we must be accountable, and of course we must be transparent. Of course we must earn the public's trust in everything we do and every day. But we should never confuse accountability with apology. Our research saves lives, not just in our state, but around the world. Our education changes lives. Our graduates better this state and this country. We are just not reacting to the future. We are helping to create it. As I leave this role, I have enormous confidence in Interim President Renee Wachter, who left her beloved campus because she understood the moment and she answered it. I also want to recognize Provost Maria Cuso, who delayed a well-earned retirement to step forward and help lead. That kind of service matters, that kind of leadership studies and institution, and I am so grateful for both of you. I have great confidence in the new board leadership. This board will continue to face very difficult issues. There will be disagreements, there will be pressure, but I know this board has the seriousness, the talent, and the dedication to rise to the occasion. Higher education is at a precipice. The old assumptions are not enough. We must modernize, we must listen, we must be nimble, and we must make difficult choices. We must explain these choices clearly to the people we serve. We must act with transparency, courage, humility, and urgency. But we must never lose sight of why we are here. This work is about students, it's about opportunity, it's about making sure that a public university education remains excellent, accessible, relevant, and meaningful for generations to come. I leave this role with deep confidence in the future of the universities of Wisconsin. Thank you so much for the privilege of serving as president of the board. I am so proud of what we have accomplished, grateful for the people who made it possible, confident in the leadership ahead, and hopeful for all that is still to come. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. Thank you to all of you. I so appreciate every single person in this room. Finally, later this afternoon, we'll have our traditional changing of the guard with the election of new board leadership. I'd like to take a chance to express my appreciation again for the special opportunity, and that concludes my report. I know you're all grateful for that. I will now turn it over to President Wachter.
Thank you, and I too would like to say just a few words. First, I deeply appreciate the trust that the Regents have placed in me to assume this role, and I am honored and grateful for the opportunity to serve. And I look forward to working with board members, my fellow chancellors, members of UW administration, our colleagues across the universities of Wisconsin, and so many others in the coming months. And while we can never really know what's around the corner, we can, however, commit to continuing to serve the people and the students of Wisconsin as we fulfill UW's storied missions of education, research, and service. Now for some updates. I do have updates on the state and federal actions. So we're going to start with the state side. The regular session of the 25-27 legislature has come to a close, and legislators are in the midst of a busy campaign season. We are watching these races closely due to the numerous retirement announcements and the potential for partisan makeup of the legislature and executive branch to shift. Unrelated to elections, the Joint Legislative Council also recently approved the study committees for the 25-27 interim session. One committee we'll be watching is the Study Committee on State Veterans Benefits, as this topic impacts our veteran students and families. While no formal bills are heard or voted on through the study committees, recommendations that arise from these hearings can result in legislation that's introduced in subsequent sessions. The scope of the Veterans Committee includes looking at the definition of, quote, veteran, and other statutory definitions or eligibility criteria for veterans' benefits. And turning to the federal front, as you know, earlier this spring, the President's fiscal 27 budget request was released, which formally began the budgeting and appropriations process in Congress. And while we are grateful to see Congress reject many of the proposed reductions in funding to higher education, ranging from student financial aid to research funding in FY26, our work will continue in FY27 as the House and Senate Appropriation Committees begin to move the 12 annual appropriation bills. Investments in programs like Pell Grant, Federal Work Study, and other federal financial aid programs are critical to ensuring continued access and success of those students who can choose to pursue higher education. Ensuring that students from all economic backgrounds can attend our universities remains central to our mission, and our advocacy for programs that help make that possible will not waver. As it relates to research, sustained funding not only fosters discoveries that benefit all Wisconsinites and citizens across the country, but is critical to the vibrancy of Wisconsin. In the conversations we've had, our delegation and congressional leaders understand these issues, their importance to each of our universities, and the importance to the state at large. We will remain actively engaged and provide further updates in this space. And finally, I'd like to draw your attention one more time to one of the most gratifying things that we do, and that is celebrate our college commencements. As the longtime chancellor of UW-Superior, I can tell you that it has always brought me great joy to see the hundreds of graduates come across the stage, crossing the finish line to collect their hard-earned diplomas. You can see the fist bumps, the hugs, the tears, and the cheering families and friends, and then multiply that by the UW universities all across the state and the thousands of graduates who celebrate their own big days last month. So I thought you might appreciate a look, so let's have a brief video to share. And folks, that is what it's all about. It is a time of great pride and hope to offer so many people this opportunity to help build their futures. Congratulations again to all the new UW graduates and those who helped make it possible. This concludes my report. Back to you, President Bogost.
Thank you, President Wachter. Regents, are there questions or comments for the President's report? Okay. Now we'll turn the floor over to our wonderful host, Chancellor Gibson.
Thank you. And welcome, everyone. This is my first presentation to the Board of Regents as Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Now, I certainly will not stop you if you choose to applaud in this moment. I came to UWM almost a year ago from UW-Stevens Point, where I served as Chancellor for nearly 5 years. I was thrilled to come to Milwaukee because I had heard of UWM's reputation as a key driver of talent, research, and economic vitality within Wisconsin's largest metropolitan area. I was excited to be part of a research-intensive Division I university that advances its access mission by not only serving the community, but by transforming lives through education. And now, almost 1 year in, I have been extremely impressed with what I have discovered. Everywhere I turn, I see the impact of our university, from the more than 42,000 hours of community service our students engage in each year, to the countless impressive alumni who are making their mark on the world. I have particularly enjoyed being a part of this vibrant UWM community where students, faculty, and staff are actively engaged in campus life, from cheering on our Panther athletes to supporting our annual giving days. Speaking of student athletes, I have to give a major shout out to our men's baseball team for making it to the NCAA tournament this week. Additionally, I am not the only one drawn to UWM. Our work in the field of physics and gravitational waves recently attracted a faculty member from Princeton. Yes, that Princeton. And a graduate student who came all the way from India just to work with our researchers. Word is out about what this university is accomplishing. So today, I want to share some highlights that show UWM's continued upward trajectory, our increasing momentum, and the deep and lasting impact our work has on our students, our community, and the world beyond. Let me begin by extending a heartfelt thank you to our Board of Regents for your leadership, support, and advocacy. Last summer, the state legislature awarded the Universities of Wisconsin its largest increase in operational funding in 20 years. And that capital budget allowed our health sciences renovation project to move forward. UWM plays a critical role in producing the necessary talent for the state's workforce pipeline, and this renovation will help us address Wisconsin's ongoing shortage of healthcare workers. So I thank you. I thank you so much. While you are here this week, I invite you to walk around our campus. You will see the old chemistry building has been taken down, and soon there will be green space centering our southwest quad. As you might know, not all of UWM's spaces are on this campus. UWM also has residence halls, performance spaces, research sites, and classrooms in various locations around the city of Milwaukee. And we're proud of that because UWM exists to serve students, families, employers, our community, and the state. I like to say that Milwaukee is our classroom because it is my vision that UWM be a model of a public serving research university. Across the board, higher education has faced ongoing challenges related to public perception. Trust has never been more important. People need to see, feel, and understand the impact of our work and the many significant ways UWM contributes to our economy, our environment, our culture, and our community. I believe we have an obligation to be stewards of place. And today, I want to tell you how we're doing just that. Student success is the guiding star in all I do. And I know our dedicated faculty and staff share this passion. UWM serves students across the educational lifespan. It is easy to assume that college begins in the fall semester of students' first year or freshman year. But that groundwork for college begins long before first-year students step onto our campus. Students need to be ready for the rigor a university requires. Therefore, we are addressing college readiness early on. A few months ago, we launched an initiative called Roar Ready, which draws together more than 200 K-12 offerings from across the university. ROAR stands for Roadmap for Opportunity, Achievement, and College Readiness. I hope you get it, roar like a panther? Never mind, folks. All the programs within ROAR Ready are designed with children and teens in mind. This includes summer camps, clinics for young athletes, music festivals, planetarium shows, visits to campus, and so much more. We want young people to develop the academic skills they will need in college, to start thinking about their career options early on, and to feel at home when they arrive on our campus. This year, UWM also opened the Scritch Family Literacy Center to help elementary and junior high school students with their reading and writing skills. These are foundational skills that are not only necessary for college, they are necessary for life. We already have plans to double the impact of this literacy center by next spring. Our M-Cubed partnership with Milwaukee Public Schools and Milwaukee Area Technical College is designed to foster smooth transitions from high school to higher education and eventually to the workforce. Providing high school students with college tours early on is part of our M-Cubed strategy. This winter, we welcomed 1,200 ninth graders from Milwaukee Public Schools to our campus for tours. More than half of students who attended these tours said that they were more likely to go to college because of that experience. And these are ninth graders who still have time to prepare and plan their high school courses with an eye toward their future. Dual enrollment has not only grown, it has exploded on campus. In the past 6 years, we have seen a 12-fold increase in the number of high school students taking college courses at UWM. Dual enrollment is both a recruitment tool and a predictor of retention for us. Among UWM students who came from Milwaukee Public Schools, those who participated in dual enrollment in high school are 23% more likely to stay in school at UWM than the general MPS cohort. All of these efforts help students be better prepared for when they arrive on our campus. Of course, there are several headwinds facing higher education, and this includes the demographic shift. We all know Wisconsin is facing a population decline of college-age students that is predicted to continue into the next decade. To address this, UWM has implemented a strategic enrollment management plan, which is a university-wide effort to not only stem the decline in enrollment, but to grow it year over year. And it's already working. Last fall, we welcomed the largest incoming class of first-year students in 16 years. And right now, we are on course to exceed last year's number. Of course, not everyone comes to UWM straight from high school. Some start college in one place and decide later on that they want to come to UWM. To make the process smoother for these students, UWM has established transfer agreements with 6 area technical colleges. These have been a huge win for UWM. Last fall, we saw the largest number of new transfer students from these schools in 10 years. In June of 2025, we opened the UWM University Center at Waukesha County Technical College. This center allows WCTC students to complete a UWM bachelor's degree without leaving their local community. This spring, we soft launched a UWM University Center at Moraine Park Technical College's West Bend campus. And we look forward to opening a center at Milwaukee Area Technical College's campus in the very near future. We are proud to provide more bachelor's degree completion pathways to adult learners. Last summer, we put in motion an effort to re-engage students who had stopped out of UWM for more than 2.5 years. In the first year, we saw 226 students re-enroll, and we have 845 more individuals in the pipeline exploring a return to UWM. Many of our students who come to UWM, they come after serving in the military. This university continues to serve more veterans and military-affiliated students than any other university in Wisconsin. We are proud of our role in helping veterans transition back to civilian life. We are clearing a number of different pathways to college, but for many of our students, affordability is still an issue. More than 89% of our new undergraduates receive financial aid. To make college more affordable, we have increased our institutional financial aid from $30 million in 2023 to $42 million this year. That's a 39% increase in just 3 years. We view this as an investment in student success. Fundraising has also been a key part of our ability to provide broad access to education, particularly our Panther Pathways Scholarship Fund. This fund was purposely designed without restrictions so that we can use it strategically to attract new students or to help returning students cross the finish line to graduation. We have already had an outstanding fundraising year, and last month I was thrilled to announce a $10 million gift from a UWM alumna in support of freshwater research and education. Gifts like this help us offer hands-on learning opportunities as students, faculty, and research staff work together to expand knowledge and solve today's problems. Research has become ingrained in UWM's identity. 10 years ago, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee joined the ranks of the nation's top-tier research universities when we achieved R1 status, a status we have held onto 4 consecutive times. Research is part of our mission at UWM, and more students are choosing our university because of the opportunities an R1 designation affords. I believe we have a moral obligation to see more students achieve the goals that they set for themselves. And I believe research opportunities can help us get there. We know that retention and graduation rates are much higher among students who participate in research. Expansion of student involvement in research is an integral part of our strategic enrollment management plan, and we are already seeing interest in undergraduate research climb. In fact, this spring we had more students than ever participate in our undergraduate research symposium, where students had the opportunity to display the work they did and what they learned. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of attending our annual scholarship reception. One of our student speakers was Elena Fisher, a senior majoring in public health. Elena grew up on Milwaukee's north side, where she still lives. And even though Elena's home is only a few miles from UWM, she rides the bus for an hour each way to get to her classes. Since she came to UWM, Elena has gained valuable experiences working in university advancement, interning at the Nature Conservancy, volunteering at Riverkeepers, and studying gerontology with a faculty member in our undergraduate research program. This spring, Elena was one of 37 students who traveled to Richmond, Virginia to present their research at a national conference. I heard Elena say, quote, "I never expected to be in research, and now that I have, I feel like I really can do anything," end quote. It was that rigorous, boundary-breaking experience that expanded her perception of what she can do. Imagine that. So I get excited when I hear about students like Elena who are grasping hold of opportunities and making the most of their time on our campus. Even for students who do not participate in undergraduate research, just being at an R1 institution provides them access to nationally renowned faculty and industry networks, state-of-the-art equipment, and cutting-edge knowledge. The research we conduct at UWM not only builds new knowledge, it also solves the pressing problems of our world today. We have students who are delving into artificial intelligence through the Northwestern Mutual Data Science Institute. Some are involved in developing medicines in our Milwaukee Institute for Drug Discovery. And some are participating in cancer research with the Medical College of Wisconsin. At UWM, research fosters partnerships that help us engage with the community around us. This year, we launched the brand new Faculty Industry Partnership Seed Grant Program. This program aligns faculty academic expertise with industry needs, and it serves as an opportunity to augment federal funding. We experienced federal grant terminations worth over $20 million last year, but a significant number of them have since been reinstated. Our faculty and researchers are being creative and seeking out new sources of funding, writing more grant proposals, and asking for larger amounts. And their diligence has paid off. Despite the federal funding challenges, our federal research expenditures for 2025 remain at approximately the same level as in fiscal year 2024. And we're working on new initiatives to fill the federal gap going forward. I'm grateful to the UWM Research Foundation for helping us transform ideas into meaningful societal impact. For the past 20 years, this foundation has been helping our researchers protect their intellectual property through 224 patents and 47 active license and option agreements. Research has served as a connector on our campus as we forge noteworthy partnerships. Last summer, we celebrated the opening of our Microsoft AI Co-Innovation Lab, which is the only one in the world focused on manufacturing. Perhaps I should say that again. It's the only one in the world focused on manufacturing. And this is apropos considering how important manufacturing is to our state's economy. Opening this co-innovation lab was a tremendous honor, and it allows UWM to help small and medium-sized manufacturers incorporate innovative, high-tech solutions into their production processes. So far, our co-innovation lab has completed 48 projects. This lab gives our students the opportunities to learn how AI can be applied to the actual problems that businesses face. Our partnership with Microsoft is especially meaningful because their chairman and CEO, Satya Nadella, earned his master's degree at UWM, and we are proud to claim him as an alumnus. A few years ago, Satya Nadella and his wife Anu established a scholarship that each year provides a full ride for several Milwaukee students seeking careers in the technology fields. This slide shows all the recipients of the Nadella Scholarship so far. Just a few weeks ago, the first cohort crossed the stage at commencement and received their diplomas. They are now beginning their careers and diving into graduate school, including at UWM. You see the three parts of UWM's mission: access, research, and community engagement aren't separate legs of a stool. They overlap, they blend, and they work together beautifully. While students may enter UWM through our access mission, they can experience the world-class education that being at an R1 university affords. They can participate in rigorous research studies, engage in hands-on experiences through our community partnerships, and ultimately use their talents to pursue careers that strengthen our state. UWM truly is the talent pipeline for southeastern Wisconsin and beyond. We partner with more than 4,000 businesses and organizations in Milwaukee and around the world to provide internships, student employment, service learning opportunities, clinical placements, and research collaborations that solve problems and improve our community. These partnerships, along with student demand, inform our ongoing review of our academic programs. We are regularly adjusting our offerings because in today's world, we simply cannot afford to be irrelevant. UWM has an outsized impact on the city of Milwaukee and our state. We have more than 215,000 Panther alumni, and about 80% of our graduates choose to live and work right here in Wisconsin. When you look at the skyline of Milwaukee, you can see buildings designed by our alumni and faculty. Drive by the lakefront and you will see a shoreline transformed by our scientists. It wasn't all that long ago that Bradford Beach was just too polluted for people to visit. Thanks to our scientists, Milwaukee's lakefront is now a vibrant destination all summer long. Scroll through LinkedIn and you'll find that UWM is the #1 talent resource for so many local companies. I'm talking about Aurora Healthcare, Beard, Freighter Health, Kohl's, Milwaukee Public Schools, Milwaukee Tool, Northwestern Mutual, and We Energies, just to name a few. Our region needs the talent, the educated professionals that only UWM can offer on a broad scale. I said earlier that Milwaukee is our classroom, but I also like to think of UWM as Milwaukee's university. UWM plays a critical role in our state's economic hub, and the story of our impact needs to be told. To do that, we launched a brand new brand campaign last fall called Make New Waves. This is a framework for sharing the great things UWM is doing. We are making waves in every direction. So let's watch this video and you'll see just what I mean.
Drops of water can turn into waves of unbelievable power. At the edge of one of the world's great freshwater bodies, we know this well. As a top research university that believes education is for everyone, we know this too.
1, 2, 3, Panther! Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promised land.
And like the waters around us, at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, we're always in motion, always creating momentum that reshapes lives and communities. We start with drops of ideas in labs, libraries, classrooms, studios, and stages. That's where we discover the first ripple of something greater beginning to build. Like Melinda Kavanaugh, whose award-winning research supports youth providing care to ill family members. And engineer Habib Rahman, whose robots help people reach greater independence. Or Marquise Mays, who uses the power of film to inspire the next generation of artists.
Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promise. Yeah.
Our students ensure that their impact extends outward. They learn alongside researchers who are developing new treatments for Alzheimer's disease. They study freshwater lakes to fight pollution. Our graduates lift up entire communities, driven by a wave they helped create. One that began at UWM, because our students aren't looking for easy. They're looking for opportunity, and this is where they find it. This is where we make new waves.
So I am proud to say that that award-winning video was produced by our very own marketing and communication team. And if you watched the Winter Olympics, you probably saw a version of it. We are making new waves at UWM by clearing new pathways to education, by embracing research and all its benefits, and by forging powerful connections within the communities we serve. UWM is like an engine that keeps Milwaukee moving ahead. We are gaining momentum, and our impact on our city, state, and world will continue for generations. I am so proud to be a part of this university. So I would like to thank you all for listening. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for being fellow wave makers. And now I'm happy to answer any questions you may have or receive comments. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Gibson, for such an amazing, wonderful, extremely optimistic report. And I want to know if any of my colleagues have any comments or questions for Chancellor Gibson. Okay. Well, thank you. That was, oh, sorry. Regent Walsh.
Oh, I'm tangled here. So Chancellor Gibson, thank you for that very much. One of the things that I got excited about when I found out you were going to be here is I know how good you are at working among the community and making contacts for UWM. Where have you felt the challenges for that, to do that, and how are you approaching it?
So I think the greatest opportunity that we have is engaging our alumni. There's just so many of them. I love that about this region, but ensuring that there are multiple on-ramps for alumni to become connected in meaningful ways to the university has been a challenge, but I'm working on it. I'm meeting a lot of our alums. And I most recently introduced a new tradition at UWM. And I've asked our cabinet members to follow this tradition, and that is when I or any of my colleagues encounter a UW-M alumnus not wearing a UW-M lapel pin, we are to remove ours and give it to them. And and it's a simple way. Regent Rye, I will get you a pen. And it is a really small way to demonstrate our care, value, and the importance of the connection with our alumni.
And what would you say is the thing you're hearing the most from business and industry in this corner of the state about what this university could do better?
I'm hearing this primarily in the engineering space. They need more engineers. More engineers. I'm also hearing the same in the healthcare space. More nurses. We're absolutely trying to do our part, but it's going to take each of my colleagues as well, each of us partnering and working towards meeting the pipeline goals of the state.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Regent Arley.
Thank you. In the theme of excitement and things to see, I was really excited to see the partnerships that you have with the different institutions, but like Milwaukee Public Schools, for example, and some of the other educational entities. So thank you. It was
Thank you.
inspiring.
It's been a game changer for us.
Yes, Regent Weatherly.
I'd be remiss not to at least suggest that as you hear from industry that we need more healthcare workers and engineers, that as someone that works in the entrepreneurial community here in Milwaukee, more than anything, we need more entrepreneurs. We need more people starting businesses. Yes. We need less businesses that are 100 years old and more businesses that are 1 year old, 2 years old, and 3 years old. So, thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Yes.
Anyone else? I will just say the ROAR program is extremely exciting to me because I think if you give the idea of someone very young from that moment on, the idea that it is possible to come to such an amazing institution, UW-Milwaukee, it stays with them. It shows them what is possible. So thank you for starting that.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we move on? Yes, Regent Gordon.
Thanks. Regent Weatherly made me think of this about the notion of entrepreneurs. The other thing to think about is just the transfer of small businesses where people are aging out of the businesses that they currently have. And so you may not need to start a new business, but you could innovate based on an existing business. And I'm sure there are opportunities like that in your area, so to consider.
Absolutely. Within our Lubar Entrepreneurship Center, we do quite a bit of transition and leadership training and executive education trainings that we offer to business and industry. So, yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you again so much.
Okay. Before I go, I would like to introduce a very special person. Coach Wegner, would you please come join me at the podium? So, Coach, when our team won the Horizon League title with a walk-off home run in the 9th inning, it felt like a Hollywood movie. Their performance in the NCAA tournament drew national media attention because it was truly an underdog story. UWM is home to the only Division I baseball team in the state, which truly make these gentlemen Wisconsin's team. The last time UWM's baseball team made it to the NCAA tournament was in 2010, when Coach Sean Wegner was one of the players. Yes, Coach is a UWM alumnus. So, Coach Wegner, how did it feel leading your alma mater's team to the national tournament?
Yeah, there's definitely immense sense of pride that I had. This place has meant a lot to me. in my past, and obviously now today in my career. And it's something that I always had a dream of getting the opportunity to do. Coach Duffick, my former head coach, brought me in as a walk-on, and I worked my way into a scholarship player, and then through other avenues got to work my way back here. And my goal has always been to be the leader of the program, and then once I get it, not to relinquish it. And I think we're doing a good job with that. We have some uphill battles, and we have challenges that we always have to face. But we appreciate the support of Chancellor Gibson and my boss, Amanda Braun, and the steps that we are taking to try and elevate our program. I also wanted to present Chancellor Gibson here with a signed team baseball from the regional. And maybe the hottest item we've had going around is our state logo hats, which are no longer in stock, and we have to open up another store. So I've got one for you, Chancellor, and 3 of your best friends.
Don't do that to me.
So thank you guys for having us. I appreciate the support. Go Panthers.
So, Coach, thank you for being here. I know that many of our players have returned home for summer. I must say that this team's scrappiness is a microcosm of the grit and determination of our entire student body, and we are Panther proud of their accomplishments. So let's hear it one more time for our student athletes and our coaching staff, our athletic director. And now, if it's okay, I would like to welcome the leader of all of our Panther athletes, UWM Athletic Director Amanda Braun.
Well, that was fun. I want to take just a second. Did Sean left already? That was quick. There are a few other people that made this possible. Adam Ahern, I think, just walked out. He's a senior associate AD for us and sports supervisor. So we have administrators that supervise each of our sports. The past week, he's also been travel coordinator, meal coordinator, NCAA staff liaison, all the things. Sean Engel in the back. Sean, you want to raise your hand in the green shirt? So Sean and Rachel Clem, who I think has a well-deserved day off, the two of them handled everything that you saw out on our website, our social media channels. And Rachel's like, I don't know if you're Ted Lasso fans, but Roy Kent, she was here, she was there, she was everywhere. Literally just memorializing this and every moment for these student athletes, it was pretty cool to see. So thank you, Sean. Thanks to Rachel. And I'll let Adam know he probably didn't want to be in here anyway to get embarrassed. So, but what a team, what a ride. And I have to tell you, it's going to have been scripted better for the time that I get to spend with you today. The student athlete impact that we saw, the lifelong memories, and I was on the road with them and I got to talk with them like, you guys know, you're going to be talking about this 10 years, 20 years from now. Like, this is how special this is. And they did seem to understand that and hopefully soaked up all those victorious moments. It was pretty cool. And then it's a 2-part story. And the 2-part story I wanted to tell today anyway is about the impact on our university. So we did see, all of the attention that came, the publicity. I was down in Alabama with the team, so I didn't get to see it locally, but I got to see a lot of the social media stuff, and I was getting blown up about that hat too. So that's really the story. I don't know if I have a slide change. Is that my responsibility? Do a slide. Oh, there we go. Thanks. So purpose. You can see there's really 2 sentences to the purpose. We're very, very intentional about what this means for us. That we are all about our student athlete experience. At UW-Milwaukee, that is what we're about. We're a Division I institution, but a very unique in many ways to what the public thinks Division I is. We're totally focused on our student athletes and their experience. And then the other part of that story is how we can impact the university. So brand visibility, community campus engagement, and pride is a really big part of what we focus on every day. Creating significance both for our student athletes and then also for our university. So on the student athlete part of it, and I think, am I supposed to, here we go. Is that mine? Okay. Sorry about that. technical difficulties. So academic support, I lead with this. We recruit really great student athletes. I have our coaches to thank for the incredible young people they bring in to our athletic department. They vet them, they make sure they are serious about getting an education, and not every student is a 4.0 student coming out of high school, but are they serious about coming to UWM and being a student as well as an athlete? So you can see academically our students continue to perform at a very high level, and the numbers here speak for themselves. Graduation rates, academic progress report rates, and then the consecutive semesters of GPA is really, really amazing to see. So quite a tradition of academic success, our student athletes going on to do great things. And I've had, in my time here, the opportunity to see student athletes that participated with us come back and talk about what they've achieved outside after their time on our campus. So students choose UWM because of a top-tier education, clearly. This is a great university. The type of student athletes we bring in are really looking for an elite athletic experience as well. So being a Division I institution is a big part of that. So the athletic support services we provide, sports medicine, performance nutrition, the things that we're doing to make sure that they are prepared to succeed as athletes. So nearly all of our teams continue to compete for the Horizon Championships and postseason on a regular basis. So we have strong tradition of competitive success. That's going to be so helpful to me. Thank you very much. So strong tradition of success here and the achievements we've had. This year we built on our competitive success with 12 top 3 Horizon League team finishes, including 4 championships, 1 by our baseball team, 2 by our women's soccer, regular season and tournament champions in our league, and then women's tennis won the regular season as well. Then we also achieved 8 runner-up finishes in the Horizon League. So pretty incredible with all that we require of them. The third component of our student-athlete experience is outside of the classroom, outside of their sport. What are we doing to support them with what little time they have remaining? We do provide programming and opportunities for them to develop as leaders. I'll just cite that first bullet there, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. We have a group of student athletes, 2 from each sport, that represent their team and really are the voice of student athletes within our athletic department. So they meet monthly, they do some cool programming for each other, and then they let us know what it is that we should be thinking about, whether it be national issues or things at the league level or on our campus, in or outside of athletics. So I'm grateful for the volunteer work they do. We had 2 student athletes with us at Horizon League meetings this week in Indianapolis. I got to talk with them yesterday, Zach Schmidt and Bella Lipsky. They're excited to come back. They got to participate with other Horizon League student athletes, so they have ideas. So this summer is going to be fun to hear what it is that they learned. So the second part of our story is the university impact. Community engagement and support is one way that we do that. Community service, you can see there this past year over 2,400 hours of community service. We make sure our student athletes know that being part of Milwaukee is being part of Milwaukee, to do service and give back. And then the community gives back to us. So those 3 other bullets up there are revenue generation for us, but it's also an opportunity for us to elevate our brand, to help the university with engagement and visibility throughout our community. And that's really important to us. Donor support, corporate support, we couldn't do what we do without that. So that's something we're working on every year to elevate and continue. A brand exposure on the visibility of our social media and our website. These are really, really impressive metrics for athletics among our peers and even within UWM. So social media channels, the impressions, the engagement, the views, we post a lot of content. We have a small shop, we have a lean team, but we put a lot out there on behalf of our athletic department, on behalf of our university. So when we have special opportunities, and I was grateful I was able to update this yesterday, if you can see that. The special opportunities that we do have is when something happens like a baseball postseason and 2 wins in the NCAA tournament. So what you see there is our athletics website usage, and an active user is 10 seconds or more on our website. So, we hum along there, it's May, and it's right around 4,000, 3,000, and then we win the Horizon League Championship, and it jumps up to the 8,000, the 7,700. Pretty impressive, it doubled. Well, then what happens when we win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament? Incredible. Peaked at 68,000 users on the athletics website. Pretty amazing to see that. Peaking after first NCAA tournament win against Auburn. I love saying this out loud. And then again when we beat UCF and then played Auburn again 2 more times. So that's pretty cool stuff. I did get from Rachel some social media. I wasn't able to put it up on the slide, so I'm going to read it to you. Some of the social media traffic and engagement on behalf of athletics in the university. Over the 7-day period, including our NCAA tournament games, our Baseball X or Twitter account received 2.1 million impressions. From May 20th to June 2nd, the number of followers for our baseball Instagram account increased by over 40% to nearly 8,000 followers. And that Instagram account received 3.3 million views in the period of days that included our Horizon League Championship and the NCAA tournament runs. If that doesn't tell a good story about university impact and visibility and brand elevation with these incredible student athletes who are achieving at the academic level you just saw, I'm not sure what more we can do. So broadcast also, there were 4 NCAA tournament games for baseball just this past week on ESPN Plus and ESPNU, so national broadcasts. Our other sport programs on a regular basis appear on several sports networks throughout the year, and 60 or more each year home competitions we produce and we put out under the Panther brand on ESPN Plus. And it's probably double that when you count what we're broadcast as the teams playing away competitions. And then that last bullet here, you can see the number of minutes people are watching the Panthers and seeing the UWM brand. And then finally, the last piece of university impact, in addition to the team visibility, we create additional national visibility through individual exposure. So that far right, you probably can't see that picture very well, but we really needed one. Natalie Block, one of the most elite track athletes we have ever had at this university, absolutely incredible in every fashion. She, last summer, participated in the United States Olympic trials on national television, wearing the Panther brand and cited as a student athlete here at UWM. So moments of pride. And then national committee work, there are several of us, myself, Kathy Litzel, Kathy Rossi, who at a national level at the NCAA participate in committee work and represent our league, our university, and our community in that fashion. So the final thing I'll say, the impact that we have on our student athletes and our university is so positive and such a contrast to some of the challenges and some of the headwinds that we're seeing in Division I athletics right now. And I won't spend a lot of time on this. I just want to acknowledge that we do see these challenges that exist. They're in areas like agent regulation, transfer and eligibility standards, sports betting, employment status, Title IX, and that's just a few of them. It's coming fast and furious at us right now in Division I especially. Just at the Horizon League meetings, we have a new commissioner who serves on the night commissioner, if you're familiar with that, very well versed on this. So we're on top of it. Our voice is a bit limited at our level. If you're familiar with the vernacular, A4, so ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, those are the decision makers in Division I, and we're sort of coming along behind them. And we're going to land in the right spot. It's going to take some time. I call it kind of the messy middle right now. I feel like we're in a transformation in NCAA sports. But Milwaukee's going to land in the right place. And the reason why is because of that two-part story. Because we focus on our student athletes, we align with our university, and we think about the impact we can have. So every day, day in and day out, that's what we're focused on. I'm not under any illusions that this isn't happening, but we're plugged in, and we're ready to continue living our purpose and our mission on behalf of this university. So with that, I will conclude and open to questions or feedback.
Any regents have any questions or comments? Yes, Regent Walsh.
You didn't mention, unless I missed it, you didn't mention NIL and how that's affected the programs here.
Yeah, Thanks for asking. It was on the last slide. That is the most high-profile issue that we're dealing with in Division I athletics right now. It's been around now for a few years. Just a year ago, it came in-house, if you will, that revenue distribution, which is kind of an oxymoron for us. We don't generate more revenue than what we spend to support our programs and even just the basics. So we're participating in it, primarily in the sports basketball, men and women's. That was a hot topic at league meetings this week, and trying to do some information sharing, because right now everything is behind, curtains. You can't, people are telling each other this and that, and it's heavily related to the transfer rate. I think if we can solve the transfer issue, we're going to be in a much better spot with some of those expenses that are escalating, and the agent regulation needs to get done somehow. It's been really, really tough on so many of our coaches in particular, and really unfair to a lot of our student athletes.
Do you think the transfer issues is that fixable, or?
Yeah, not by the national office, not by the membership. That's huge litigation. That is why we landed where we did, which was open the doors to really immediate eligibility, transfer as many times as you want. And that's going to take some intervention from the federal government, Congress in particular, in order for that. So it needs some limited antitrust immunity in order for that to occur.
Thank you.
You bet.
I think we're all hoping that Congress acts at some point, since it continues to be the Wild West for NIL. But thank you very much for your report. Are there any other? Regent Weatherly.
Thank you. If judging from the interest, if you want to know how many texts I got about, can you get me a hat? It was 8.
Yeah.
If you wanted to use that as a metric for interest.
Pop-up store is coming. I'm told imminently we're going to have a pop-up store for the hat.
Well, yeah, they're challenging my regenthood by saying, you can't give me a hat, what can you get done? I'm like, they're hard to get. But that's not why I raised my hand. Do you have a sense of what success looks like for a mid-major, for UWM, urban school, et cetera, in a NIL, I'll just call it student athletes getting paid world? Do you have, like, we don't really know what it looks like at the P4s or the A4s. What does success look like to you among a mid-major?
It's a very good question. I don't, and this is going to sound, my head is not in the sand. It's not that different than it has been. The bells and whistles of those high revenue schools continue. It's just something different, right? So the transfer rule is the biggest issue. And so that will impact us because of the churn, right? If we're able to do a one-time transfer, our success looks like us having some stable rosters and ability to win at a higher level outside of our league. For us here at UWM, right now I gauge our success as winning championships in our league and getting bids to the NCAA tournament and making some noise when we get there. So tongue-in-cheek, there's only so many minutes to go around for each sport. They're not making basketball games longer, they're adding more kids out on the volleyball court. So student athletes want to compete, they want to play, they want to participate, they don't want to sit on the bench. So we're going to get student athletes, and we have, who think that they're at a certain level and then realize maybe my opportunities are at a place like Milwaukee. And we have many, many examples of that. Sort of boomerang, some of them. They're Wisconsin kids that go somewhere else and come back and have a great experience with us. So success for me looks like taking full advantage of what I see as some of those opportunities within this really tough environment and making the most of them and doing what baseball did.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other comments, questions for A.D. Brown? Okay. Thank you so much for the wonderful report.
Thank you for your time.
Go Panthers. We are now going to take a 10-minute recess and be back at, what time is it? 2:50? Is that right? 2:50, back.
I feel like a balding middle-aged man.
I can't tell time. I'll now call upon, if we have all the regents back, I think we do, I'll now call upon Regent Salzwedel to present a report from the Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee.
All right. this on? Okay. The Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee met this morning. The committee approved the minutes of the April 2026 meeting, the Office of Internal Audit Fiscal Year 2026 Audit Plan Progress Report, and the Office of Compliance and Risk Management Fiscal Year 2027 Fiscal Year 2027 Annual Plan and the Fiscal Year 2026 Progress Report via consent agenda without comment. Next, the committee heard from Lori Stortz, our Chief Audit Executive, who provided a high-level results summary of the audits recently issued since our last meeting in April. This included the Office of Internal Audit's internal assessment, consisting of an executive summary, report on self-assessment, and the Quality Assurance and Improvement Program report, as well as executive summaries for the physical plant, services chargebacks, purchasing cards, June 21, 2025 through January 2, 2026, and also a third-party risk assessment, all of those being audits. The Regents then asked Paige Smith to provide an update on the third-party risk management framework development for a future meeting, and it is critical to our enterprise risk management efforts given the climate in which we are operating in. Next, Ms. Stortz reaffirmed the independence statement for the Office of Internal Audit, noting that nothing had changed, but shared as a part of good governance. The committee thanked Ms. Stortz and her team for their dedication. The final agenda item, the committee called upon Chief Compliance Officer and Risk Officer Paige Smith and Director of Risk Management Joseph Razor, who presented an overview of risk journey, leadership observations, and next steps. We also welcomed UW-Madison Interim Chancellor Eric Wilcox, Interim UW President, UW Superior Chancellor Renee Wachter, and UW-Whitewater Chancellor Corey King, and UW-Stout Chancellor Catherine Frank. We had a robust discussion on enterprise risk management with the four chancellors. We agreed that risk at the enterprise level needs to be informed by each of the university's risks. Mitigation efforts will continue to be performed and managed primarily by university leaders. The system leaders need to focus on overall risks at the system level, such as cybersecurity, including our funding model and student demographics. The Regents need data which they can use to govern the risk and to ensure that they can advocate for the funding and strategy to mitigate the enterprise risks. The committee appreciated the participants attending today's meeting and shared their perspectives. And Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Regent Salzwedel. I'll now call upon Regent Cruiser to present a report from the Capital Budget and Planning Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Capital Planning and Budget Committee met today to consider several items. The committee approved the consent agenda, which included authority to construct one instructional technology improvement program project at UW-Milwaukee for $3.59 million in general fund supported borrowing. The consent agenda also included 10 all-agency maintenance and repair projects at an estimated total cost of $23,844,300. For UW-Madison, the committee approved the demolition of the Biotron Laboratory as well as the Meats Science and Muscle Biology Building, two facilities that have been vacated since 2023. The demolition will cost $9.67 million of segregated revenues. The removal will eliminate ongoing maintenance needs while preparing the area for future development aligned with the campus planning priorities. Next, the committee received multiple reports. The first was a report on facts and figures of the upcoming August capital budget request, including a process overview, fact and figures from a request received, and a summary of select supporting materials. Next was the semi-annual report on all leases and amendments executed for the University of Wisconsin system from December 1, 2025 through May 31st, 2026. 2 leases for new spaces were executed in the last 6 months, both for UW-Madison. 10 leases were either amended or renewed, and 5 leases were terminated. The committee also received a report on UW solely managed capital projects. Since its inception in July 2015, the program has included a total of 203 projects. UW-Milwaukee also gave a host campus presentation on capital planning efforts Finally, the committee received the report of the Associate Vice President for Capital Planning and Budget, which contained information on facility size by usage and type. Madam President, this concludes my report. I move resolutions D and E.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Regent Cruiser, motion passes. Now I'll call upon Regent Prince to present the report of the Education Committee. Regent Prince.
Thank you, Regent President Bogost. The Education Committee approved the following 4 items. You may want to listen up because this will be a little lengthy. The annual request for funding from the Vilas Trust Fund, 4 new academic degree programs, the annual tenure and promotion report, and UW Stout's proposal to rename the university to UW Stout Polytechnic. The first item, the annual request for funding from the Vilas, Trust Fund for UW-Madison and UW-Milwaukee, which totaled over $10 million this year. Funding supports scholarships, fellowships, professorships, and special programs in the arts and humanities, social sciences, biological sciences, physical sciences, and music. As mentioned, we also approved 4 new academic degree programs. Please note, so don't shiver when I said 4 new ones, that each of these programs represents either an elevation of a subdegree or a consolidation and replacement of existing programs. First, a request by UW-Madison to offer a Master of Business Administration in Business Administration and Management. The proposed program consolidates and replaces 6 specialized MBA programs at UW-Madison. This program responds to strong employer demand and features a flexible career pathway framework that expands experiential learning opportunities. Graduates will be prepared for careers in consulting, finance, technology management, marketing, and related fields. Next, a request by UW-Madison to offer a Master of Science in Education, Instructional Coaching. The proposed program elevates and replaces the existing MS in Educational Psychology named option Professional Educator, including the Instructional Coaching Certificate. This program is designed for practicing educators seeking career advancement in the classroom and beyond. Graduates will be prepared to advance their careers in the education sector, such as instructional coaches, mentor teachers, professional learning specialists, and other roles focused on enhancing teaching and learning. Next, a request by UW-Madison to offer a Master of Science in Special Education Teacher Certification. The proposed program will elevate and replace the existing MS in Special Education named option in Teacher Certification. The Wisconsin Department of Instruction has reported a major shortage of special education teachers in Wisconsin. This program is designed for individuals who work full-time, many of whom hold a DPI license with stipulations or serve in another role within the education sector. Graduates will be eligible for licensure as a cross-categorical special education teacher in Wisconsin. Next, a request by UW-Oshkosh to offer a Master of Business Administration in Business Analytics. The proposed program is, guess what, an elevation of an existing graduate certificate in data analytics and the existing data modeling and visualization emphasis within the MBA. Graduates will be prepared for leadership roles in areas such as business intelligence, finance, marketing, healthcare, and operations. We also discussed the 2026 report on faculty promotions, tenure designations, and other changes of status. As you know, Regent approval is the final step in this arduous process by which our UW faculty earn tenure. We congratulate the more than 430 UW faculty members who have been newly tenured, promoted, and hired with tenure. Then we discussed a request from UW Stout to rename UW Stout to University of Wisconsin Stout Polytechnic. Chancellor Catherine Frank and Provost Glenda Lee Rodriguez provided a brief overview of the proposal and highlighted its alignment with the university's mission, vision, and values. The proposed name change builds on the Board of Regents' prior approval of the university's Polytechnic designation and the 2024 revision to Regent Policy 1-1, establishing a Polytechnic University core mission category. Discussion formally began with the Chancellor's Advisory Council on October 15, 2025, which includes university leadership and shared governance representation. Shared governance groups reviewed the proposal throughout the fall semester of 2025, with resolutions received from all 4 governance groups by December 2025. And just a moment off script, but still relevant to the meeting, during the presentation, this has been going on since 1974, so hopefully it will come full circle today. Next, our host campus, UW-Milwaukee, gave a presentation titled Making Waves in Affordability for Student Success. It outlined their work to advance student success by tackling textbook affordability. Highlights included discussion on how UW-Milwaukee over the past decade has intentionally approached addressing affordability by expanding the use of low or no-cost course materials through open educational resource training, known as OER. And the training is for faculty and staff. They also highlighted the partnerships between UWM libraries and the Center for Advancing Student Learning. We heard about increased access to library materials and, of course, the addition of low or no cost, I like saying that, of low or no cost materials in the general education curriculum. We also, which was complementary to that presentation, heard a panel discussion on opportunities for open educational resources across the universities of Wisconsin that complemented UW-Milwaukee's presentation. The panelists from across our enterprise provided an overview of open educational resources efforts across the universities of Wisconsin, including perspectives on current practices, challenges, and opportunities to expand the use of affordable course materials in support of student success. And finally, colleagues, Senior Vice President Johannes Britz provided an update on progress toward implementation of CIS policies that support the operationalizing of Regent Policy 20-25 teaching workload and Regent Policy 4-23, the core general education requirements. Here are 2 of those key updates. Continued efforts by the Teaching Workload Operations Work Group to establish a framework for collecting and ultimately reporting the various nuances of teaching workload data. I specifically asked Senior Vice President Britz for a dashboard or something that we can put that's easy to track. Continued efforts to support the technical aspects of the implementation of core general education requirements. And as he has done previously, Senior Vice President Britz will provide a written update following this meeting. Regent President Bogost, this does conclude my very lengthy, but it was a wonderful opportunity this morning, and it does conclude my report. So on behalf of my committee, I do move for adoption by the Board of Resolutions C2 through C6 and Resolutions D and E.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Regent Prince.
Thank you.
Next, I will move to Regent Rye for a report of the Business and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Regent President Bogos. The Business and Finance Committee acted on its agenda as follows. First, the committee reviewed and approved the 2026-27 tuition and auxiliary rates at each of the universities of Wisconsin. In her presentation to the committee, Vice President Julie Gordon outlined the key factors that were considered in developing this proposal and shared an overview of the recommendations, which were provided in advance to all regions for our review. To summarize, the proposal provides for a base tuition increase of 2% for resident undergraduates, accounting for a combined tuition and segregated fee increase averaging of about 2.2%, and an increase in room and board rates averaging 2.8%. The proposed average increase in the cost of attendance for Wisconsin resident undergraduate students at the four-year campuses would be 2.5% in 2026-27. Non-resident undergraduate tuition at all UWs would increase by either the same dollar amount or the same percentage as for residents, except for UW-Madison, which would increase non-resident undergrad tuition by 4%. Graduate tuition for residents and non-residents would be unchanged at UW-Madison and UW-Green Bay. UW-Stout proposes a 4% increase, and all other UWs propose a 2% increase. The one exception being UW-Whitewater would increase non-resident graduate tuition by the same dollar amount as for the residents. In addition to the base tuition adjustment, increases to program-specific tuition are proposed for 7 specific academic programs across 4 of the UWs to help address the higher cost of delivering those programs. Finally, and presented to the board as individual resolutions, a phased-in elimination of the tuition plateau is requested by UW-Green Bay for its graduate programs and by UW-Milwaukee for 3 of its graduate programs. The plateau changes were approved by unanimous voice votes, and the proposed tuition and auxiliary rates were approved by the majority in a voice vote. The proposal is generally viewed as a reasonable and responsible approach to maintaining the high value of UW education. While universities are confronted with rising operational expenses, including double-digit percentage increases in essential areas like utilities and technology, this proposal reaffirms our commitment to our students that the universities of Wisconsin remain among the most affordable in the Midwest. Next, the committee reviewed and discussed and voted to adopt the UW System's annual operating budget for the 26-27 fiscal year, which is based on the second year of the state's biennial budget enacted last summer, as well as the proposed tuition and rate adjustments noted earlier. To summarize, the revenue budget for 27 is projected at approximately $7.9 billion, an increase of 12.7% from the prior year, while the expenditure budget will increase by 12.3%. Revenue from gifts, grants, and contracts, driven largely by research grants and charitable giving, is projected to increase nearly $440 million. Related to the increased grant funding, federal indirect cost reimbursements are expected to increase nearly $130 million. A total of $24.7 million in tuition balances is projected for one-time uses. The budget document contains details on each of the universities, including the key factors that impact their revenue and expense budgets, their fundraising highlights, and the actions being taken to support the goals of the UW strategic plan. Notably, the number of universities projecting a structural deficit in their GPR tuition funds for 26-27 is 0. Next, the committee heard a first reading of proposed revisions to Regent Policy Document 13-1 related to general contract approval, signature authority, and reporting. The changes seek to better clarify the express delegation of the board's authority to enter into contracts on its behalf to the system president and UW chancellors, and to clarify what contracts require board approval prior to signature. These revisions specifically include the delegation of board procurement authority under Chapter 36 of state statute of the system president, and provide the express inclusion of existing longstanding practices related to contract amendment authority and athletic employment contract annual extensions. The committee will consider action on these revisions at a future meeting. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, the committee deferred the presentation from our host campus. I encourage all of my fellow regents to look at Senior Vice Chancellor Van Harpen's presentation. It's fantastic, and please pull her aside with any questions you may have. That concludes my report, and on behalf of the Business and Finance Committee, I now move approval of resolutions D1, D2, D3, and E.
Second. So we're going to, before we second it, we're going to pull out D1, and we're going to ask for a motion and a second of resolution D1 first. So is there a
I'll make the motion of just D1 on its own.
Second. And a second. Okay. Discussion on resolution D1. Regent Nixon.
So for those of you who are worried that the humanities is dying, this is a tribute to Cervantes and Don Quixote and tilting at windmills. I will not support a tuition increase for our students this year for a number of reasons. They include, we've had, and are all our own opinions, a kind of lack of open and honest communications on many things by the previous administration that was counterproductive and engendered a distrust. We were expected to rubber stamp and approve of proposals without necessary information and public discussions. I taught public and nonprofit management, obviously applicable here. We are a public entity governed by chapters 19 and 36 of the Wisconsin statutes. Open discussion and being advised as to facts of both pro and con regarding a proposal is mandatory. I was disturbed, not just independently, but I was disturbed when I testified before the Wisconsin State Senate Committee on Universities and Technical College with Regent President Bogos. The senators had clearly been briefed prior to the regents, including myself, who's a member of the Budget and Finance Committee. The senators needed to be briefed on the tuition issue, but not before the regents had received the information and the opportunity to consider it. That was disturbing to me. With interim president Renee Wachter, who is an excellent leader, the lack of information and hiding the ball will not occur. However, she's only been on board for several weeks, and I do not expect she can miraculously and immediately know everything that has gone on and is going on. We've increased tuition 4 years in a row. I personally have not been provided with sufficient information to believe it is again necessary. No matter how reasonable the increase, the burden on students, parents, and the public is real. It should not be undertaken without a clearly demonstrated need based on well-documented analysis that cannot be met some other way. From a pragmatic viewpoint, UW received a significant GPR increase, not what we asked for, leaving 30% of the faculty pay raise to be funded by tuition. We also have the issue of we have to fund the veterans, which we think is a great idea, but that is, again, was not funded. So we need to come up with that. But this is what a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature agreed to. This is the law we must follow. What do you think this $22 million increase will cost us in the next budget cycle, regardless of who's in control? We must be confident we have explored all the options regarding funding this shortfall before almost routinely putting it on the back of the students and their parents as another tuition increase. I was informed that all the chancellors favored the tuition increase. Now, not necessarily true. I talked to 2 chancellors about topics unrelated to this, so when I got done with the conversation, I said, "What do you think about the tuition increase?" One said, "You cannot raise tuition." Oh. Another said, "You really don't have to raise tuition." I asked, why then did you vote at the chancellor's meeting in favor of this? I'm curious now because I'm told it was unanimous. And I got a pretty pragmatic answer, was that the wind was already blowing in a certain direction. This was clearly going to go through, and nobody wanted to expend political capital opposing something in a losing cause. From a political perspective, that makes sense to me. We need to consider the cost to our students. In an $8 billion budget, there has to be some flexibility. Students and their parents are already stretched. I personally know an undergrad student. He did not buy gas for his car. By the way, it was $1.22 a gallon then, don't ask, for a month, and he cut back on food because he did not have the money. It is easy to say we are only taking a few $100s. That is, however, a lot of money for many people when they do not have it, especially with skyrocketing costs of almost everything. We should lean a little in the direction of the students. We inherited these problems. We need to look at creative fixes. I spent 35 years drilling down on financially distressed organizational budgets. That's what I did. Some of you have the same experience. At a minimum, we have to look at more than we have. In recent years, we have fiscal discipline that was imposed that didn't exist before. We actually can look at our numbers and things now and be quite confident in them. I said this earlier, I trust Vice President for Financial Administration, Julie Gordon. Are you behind me, Julie? Somewhere? Okay, don't stab me in the back. I'm okay. She is competent, caring, creative, and courageous. We have great conversations, and I love my conversations with her about numbers because I trust her and I believe her, and she's honest with me. And sometimes I prefer you weren't, but she's honest, and that makes it so much easier to look at numbers than it used to be at one time. She can help. We can figure this out. We can take time to do that. We already know some places to initially look, and I want to be absolutely clear on this for everybody. I question no one's good faith belief that this tuition increase is necessary. In fact, this morning, I think to Regent Gordon, I gave you both sides' argument, right? This is why people should vote for it. This is why people shouldn't vote for it. I just simply disagree with the proposed increase. It's not a matter of good faith or people's. This is a matter of where you, in your own sense of risk and everything else, draw the line. I'm done now, so you're done with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Nixon. Further discussion, Regent Underly.
Thank you, Regent President Bogost. Today I will support the proposed tuition increase, but I do so with reservations. And nobody wants to increase costs to students and families. I think that's fairly clear. And I want to say I don't necessarily disagree with whatever points raised, with the points raised by Regent Nixon. But we have to be honest about the financial reality, I think, facing public education in Wisconsin. Because the costs of operating a world-class public institution continue to rise. Yet, state support covers only a fraction of the university's overall costs. And when state funding fails to keep pace with inflation or enrollment shifts and operational needs, those costs do not disappear. They're simply shifted elsewhere. And we talked about that a little bit at the Education Committee. But the tuition freeze was beneficial in one very visible way. I mean, it froze student tuition. It stayed flat for 10 years, and it came at a cost that was much less visible and often delayed, because when you look at it, the political narrative was a directive that we hold the tuition flat, but the institutional reality was that the universities had to absorb that. They had to absorb the inflation, they had to absorb declining state support somewhere else, and these impacts may not have appeared on a tuition bill, but the students experienced them nonetheless. Because affordability is not just about the price that students pay. It's about the quality of the educational experience. It's about the availability of academic opportunities. It's about the ability to graduate on time. And when universities are asked to do more with less for an extended period, students ultimately feel those effects as well. So the Board of Regents as noted, did not create this challenge. We're just being asked to manage the consequences of it. And while a 2% increase is unlikely to fully address the financial pressures facing our universities, it's one step towards preserving educational quality and opportunity for Wisconsin students. And so if we really want to keep education, higher education affordable, the solution cannot solely rest on the backs of students and families. Wisconsin must recommit to adequately funding its public universities so that the cost of college education is shared broadly as a public investment rather than increasingly shifted onto those pursuing it.
Thank you, Regent Underly. Any other? Regent Walsh.
Not long after I became a regent in 2019, I was asked to come up to a joint meeting of students and faculty at Stout and River Falls. President Cross was then the president of the system, and Drew Peterson was then president of the board. And Drew asked the students that were there, if you could tell us one thing that's your biggest problem, what would that be? And a young woman raised her hand immediately and stood up, very angry, and said, this is the second semester that I cannot get a basic class that I must have in order to line up all the rest of the classes for my major because there aren't enough spots. And she went on rather long, and it was quite silent afterwards, and I raised my hand and I said, well, this is something you need to consider, which is the other side of the bright, shiny coin called tuition freeze. That is not without consequences, and we still see them today. I think Regent Underly is right. We are still trying to recover from that freeze today. And while I have a great deal of sympathy with how much money even $50 can be to a student who's already holding 2 jobs and has a grant and loans to pay, I do understand that, but we cannot pretend that inflation has not affected us. It's not just this year. It's not just the tariffs. It's 10 years. And when we were first allowed to lift this tuition freeze, when the legislature decided that we could do that, remember that we chose not to do it that year because it was politically a real problem. And that stuck in my craw, and I'm not ashamed to say it did, because I don't like making a decision like that courts financial difficulties, and it falls on the backs of our employees and our students. And those are the 2 groups that I most care about here. And so that really affected my viewpoint on this. So while I understand what Regent Nixon is saying, I think it's irresponsible not to pass this rather modest increase.
Thank you, Regent Walsh. Any further comments or discussion among the board? Yes, sorry, Regent Rye.
Thank you, and I want to thank my fellow regents for their comments, both in committee and in the full board. I mentioned this in committee, and I'd share it with the full board, that all tuition increases, no matter how large or small, we understand the impact of them on our citizens, and we take our jobs very seriously. In doing the math on this 2% increase will still create a negative situation for our campuses that they will need to mitigate. And what does mitigation look like when you need to have a balanced budget? It's a reduction in resources. And yes, there may be an opportunity to look from within, and we will look from within for opportunities to mitigate that doesn't hurt the student. But in the immediacy of the situation and the timing of it, without this tuition increase, a lot more will affect students than with it in a negative manner. But I want to just make sure everybody understands the math. If you took the helping our veterans and the tuition promise made by the legislature to them, which I think we all support, but that's about a $34 million price tag for us. A $9 million price tag for pay plan. We are the only department that's affected by this in the entire state. No other department has to mitigate 30% of a pay plan increase. So you take the $21 million from tuition, and we're already negative, and that doesn't take into account any inflationary numbers, which we all feel every day. Inflation's not a theory, it's a reality. So despite passing this today, I think we need to make it very clear to our state, to our legislatures, and to each other that our 13 colleagues sitting at the table there are going to leave here, go back, work with their CBOs, and still have to make cuts. So I appreciate Regent Nixon's perspective, but it needs to be balanced with reality, and the reality is we will still need to make hard decisions despite passing a 2% increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Rye. Any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to ask Megan to a roll call vote. So Megan, if you would.
Regent President Bogost.
Yes.
Regent Vice President Weatherly.
Yes.
Regent Adams.
Yes.
Regent Fritz.
Yes.
Regent Goydam.
Yes.
Regent Cruiser.
Yes.
Regent Manydeeds. Regent Nixon.
No.
Regent Palzowitz.
Yes.
Regent Prince.
Yes.
Regent Rye.
Yes.
Regent Rogers.
Yes.
Regent Salzwedel.
Yes.
Regent Terwilliger.
Yes.
Regent Trainer.
Yes.
Regent Underly.
Yes.
Regent Walsh.
Yes.
15 yes, 1 no. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to resolutions D2, D3, and E, and I will ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for the discussion. We are now going to move on to the approval of, I was going to jump ahead and go right to the elections. I'm too eager. Okay. We're going to move on to the approval of the 2027 Board of Regents meeting schedule. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 13?
So moved.
Is any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the annual election of officers of the Board of Regents. The bylaws of the board specify the officers of the board are elected at the annual meeting held in June and hold their offices for 1 year until their successors are elected. Terms of office begin immediately after the June meeting. It could start right now, too. We could change that policy. Okay. If there's only one nominee for an office, the election is by voice vote. If there's more than one nominee for an office, the election is by ballot. Nominations are now in order for the office of Board President.
Madam President and fellow board members, I hope you will join me in supporting Kyle Weatherly for president. Like his predecessor, his accessibility is greatly appreciated, as is his service. And again, I ask you to support Kyle Weatherly for the position of president of the Board of Regents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I second that.
Thank you, Regent Cruiser. Are there any further nominations for Board President? Okay. Since there's only one nomination for Board President, Regent Weatherly has been nominated. We will do a voice vote. All those in favor of electing Regent Weatherly as President of the Board, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Congratulations, Regent Weatherly. Please, remarks by the newly elected Regent President Weatherly.
Dear Regents, thank you all for your support. This is one of the great honors of my life. I want to start by thanking Regent Rogers for her nomination and Regent Cruiser for seconding the motion. I also want to thank Regent Presidents Bogost, Walsh, Manydeeds, and Peterson for the opportunities they gave me over the last 6 years that have prepared me for this role. During the last several weeks, I have shared my goals and governing principles with every regent. I did not share them as dictates or an electoral platform, but as a starting point, something to be challenged, improved, refined, and sharpened by my colleagues. Thank you for your time, your candor, and your feedback. I want to briefly share those principles with everyone in this room because I would ask the same thing from you, your feedback and your accountability. Number one, governance comes first. The board's role is the long-term stewardship of this incredible institution, setting a high-level direction and ensuring accountability. This includes taking on difficult discussions and decisions. In my experience, there is often a cultural resistance to raising hard issues because they may upset a particular group or attract negative attention. Those concerns are real. But they must never supersede our obligation to govern, even when governance is uncomfortable. Number two, communication, communication, communication. I am committed to actively engaging every board member and every constituency. Fortunately, Regent President Bogus has modeled this exceptionally well. I hope to follow her lead. Number three, student-centered. When I face a difficult decision, I will always return to one question. What is in the best interest of our students? Not only our current students, but also our future students. Number four, we are in a period of transition, not stillness. We are beginning searches for two of the most important leaders in our institution, the UW President and the UW-Madison Chancellor. There may be an organizational instinct to wait, to pause, to sit still. We cannot do that. Artificial intelligence, the demographic cliff, affordability challenges, declining trust in higher education, none of these challenges and opportunities will wait for us. Number five, we are the crown jewel of the state and need to act like it. This means two things to me. First, we must be tireless in finding opportunities to better use our resources, modernize our services, meet the challenging needs of students and Wisconsinites. Every dollar the state and students trust with us should be treated as infinitely precious. Second, the other side of the coin. We must be equally tireless in advocating for investment from Wisconsin taxpayers and legislators, including in the upcoming budget. We are the single best investment Wisconsinites can make in the future of the state. Number six, and I only have two more left. The Wisconsin idea in sifting and winnowing need to be more than just plaques on the wall. I will be constantly pushing us to look for better ways to serve Wisconsin families in all corners of the state. And I will also push for us to sift and winnow, to test new ways of doing things, challenge old habits, and pursue the best ideas wherever they may lead. For instance, I'm not saying that our next meeting will be in the field of a dairy farm or the shop floor of a tool and die manufacturer, but it might be. Number seven, and finally, leadership and accountability starts with me. In the next year, I hope I will build consensus, listen to all regions, elevate strategic discussion, pulling us out of the weeds when we get in them, build trust with constituents, and help to operate the board effectively. If I fall short, hopefully not when, I hope and expect that you will hold me accountable and ask me to do better. Those are my governing principles, or in other words, the what and the how I hope to lead. But in closing, I want to share something that is more important to me, the why. Why do the work? Why push for change? Why take on these difficult issues? Why risk causing consternation? I want to tell you my why. I grew up on 43rd and Bolete Street, about 3 miles west of here. My dad was a public school teacher, and my mom stayed at home. We were a working class family, but my parents constantly urged me to chase my dreams wherever they may be. And they did that not with platitudes. They did that by pointing at the universities of Wisconsin. Their words still ring in my head. If you can get into a UW, you can go anywhere. Said another way, there is a ladder right in front of you. You just need to walk towards it. I am here today because of my parents and that ladder. That is the greatness of the universities of Wisconsin. But I also want to talk about our opportunities and, in my opinion, obligation for us to evolve and improve. That is best illustrated, for me, not by my story, but the story of my friends I grew up with on 53rd Street. They were never pointed towards the UW ladder. They didn't even know the ladder existed. And worse yet, some were told that the ladder wasn't for them. I saw this firsthand, day in, day out, and it still troubles me 40 years later. That, in total, is my why. We must protect, improve, and widen our ladder of opportunity. And we must make sure every person in Wisconsin, whether a first grader, a high schooler, or a 35-year-old adult, knows that the ladder exists, and it being us, to serve them. Thank you again for this opportunity and honor. I have never been more excited about our ability to drive Wisconsin, the nation, and the world, as our state motto insists, forward. On Wisconsin. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Nominations are now in order for the office of Vice President.
I would like to nominate Regent Rye for the role of Vice President of the Board of Regents. And instead of listening to what I say, as my grandma always said, watch what leaders do and not what they say. And so as a testament to Ashok, I'd like to tell you a little bit about him and why I think he'd be great there. Regent Rye's alma mater is right here at UWM, just as I've spent the 26 stories going down Sandburg for when somebody burned popcorn in the microwave, so did Ashok. And his time at UWM, he served on Student Association and created the BOSS program, or Be on the Safe Side, which was a program that started by having students walk other students to areas around campus at safety at night. 30 years later, that program is still in effect today and now is upgraded to shuttles. Regent Rye's commitment to UWM and serves as a foreshadow for how he would continue to serve the community and his professional career. After med school, Regent Rye opened his practice serving Wisconsin patients in the Green Bay area. Through his partnership with local industries, donations to the community, and our very own UW Green Bay, Regent Rye demonstrated a dedication to the state and how to serve the state with knowledge learned both at UWM and how to teach that knowledge to others. An idea very similar to the one Charles Van Heist had. On the board, I've seen Ashok chair business and finance, serve on chancellor searches, and now lead the president's search. I have no doubt as vice president, he would, as he's already demonstrated in the past, work endlessly to best serve the community and the state. And most importantly, what Regent Rye has done is never wear Marquette gear. And that is a true UWM graduate. So I move to nominate Regent Rye as vice president.
Thank you very much, Regent Fritz. Regent Rye has been nominated for the office of Vice President. Are there any further nominations for the office of Vice President? Okay. Because there is only one nominee for the office of Vice President, the election will be by voice vote. All those in favor of electing Regent Rye as Vice President, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Regent Rye.
Thank you. Tim, now you know where I wear a tie.
You're my mentor.
Thank you, and let me begin with a really special thank you to student Regent Noah Fritz, who just made that motion for me in this role. As you all know, Noah's a current student here at UW-Milwaukee, and I have to tell you, it means a lot more to me than he probably knows to have a student of this university be the one to put my name forward today. This means a great deal to me, not only for the responsibility it carries, but because where we happen to be sitting right now. Most of you know me as a physician or as a fellow regent, But the last time this campus meant as much to me as it does today, I was 17 years old. I came here to UW-Milwaukee to interview for the Target MD program, a nervous kid weighing other acceptances and other scholarships, trying to figure out where I belonged. I said no to those other offers. I chose Milwaukee. And looking at how my life has turned out, I can tell you it was the best decision I ever made. I'm an only child. I came here without brothers and sisters. This campus gave me both. The friends I made at UWM became my family. Brothers I still talk to every single week, all these years later. One decided to show up and be in the crowd today and surprise me. That, to me, is what a university is for. Yes, it delivers a world-class education, but it also gives people the room to find themselves and the kind of bonds that last a lifetime. So as I step into this role, let me be clear about where my focus will be: on the students and on the people who teach them. Everything else we do as a board is in service of those two. But focus is only the starting point. The real test is what we do with it. And as a board, our job is to make sure that focus actually translates into resources reaching the classroom, reaching the student and the teacher. We do that two ways. First, through advocacy. We have to be the strongest, most credible voice this system has, with the legislature, with the governor, with the people of Wisconsin, making the case that investment in our universities is one of the highest return investments this state can make. But advocacy alone isn't enough, and it isn't entirely within our control. So second, we have to be willing to look inward at how we allocate the resources we already have and to redirect them toward instruction, toward students, toward the front lines of education. Every dollar we can move closer to the classroom is a dollar doing its most important work. And I want to be careful here, because this distinction matters. We are a board of governance, not management. It is not our job to run the universities. We have capable leaders for that, and we should let them lead. But governance carries its own responsibility, and that responsibility is accountability. We set the strategic goals for the system, and we owe it to the students, the faculty, and the taxpayers to hold management accountable to those goals. Direction without accountability is just a wish list. Nowhere is that responsibility more immediate than in the work I'm privileged to be leading right now, the search for our next system president. The choice of who leads this system is the most consequential decision a board can make. It sets the tone, the priorities, and the trajectory for years to come. I take that charge seriously, and I'm committed to a process worthy of the institution it serves. A former board chair of mine once told me something I've never forgotten. He said the farther a decision is made from the exam room, the worse that decision tends to be. I found that very true in medicine, and I believe it's just as true in higher education. The farther we drift from the classroom, farther from the student and the teacher, the more likely we are to get it wrong. I intend to stay close to that work. Thank you for your trust. I'm grateful, I'm honored, and I'm ready to get to work. Thank you.
Okay, now for the most exciting, we have the election of our other officers of the board. These officers will be considered as a slate. Incumbent officers include our incredible Megan Wassley, Corporate Secretary of the Board, who keeps the trains running on time and corrals all the regents. Kristen Bach, our amazing Assistant Secretary. Our unbelievably always happy and positive Stephen Wright, Assistant Secretary. Does this count if I add adjectives to this? Is it okay? Okay. Julie Gordon, the most amazing financial, helps me understand everything, trust officer, and of course Charles Saunders, our Assistant Trust Officer, who is incredibly amazing as well. Is there a nomination to elect these incredible officers?
Second.
Regent Walsh, Regent Rye. Any further nominations? If not, all those in favor of electing the proposed officers as a slate, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations to everyone. Now I'll call upon Regent and current UWM student Noah Fritz to read the board's resolution of appreciation to UW-Milwaukee for hosting this incredible June meeting. Regent Fritz.
Thank you, everybody. Last June was my first meeting as a Board of Regent member, and this marks almost the end of my tenure here as the student regent. I'll graduate in December. Before I gave this whereas speech last year, I spoke about my parents and how much it meant to be here. And it's kind of a bittersweet moment now, graduating in December, because a lot of my peers have graduated already that I started with. And I was moved today by the presentation by Tom Gibson about UWM's community impact. And it reminded me of one of my closest friends in college that I met on my third day. So I want to just talk about that and add some humanity to it. My friend was Drew. He went to a Milwaukee public school called Reagan High on the south side. I went to Marathon High in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. So we came from pretty different backgrounds. We met on the third day of chemistry class. And Drew's dad had cancer, and he just recently recovered and stabilized, and his mom was an MPS school teacher, so they were down to one family income. As college progressed, him and I both pursued engineering. We worked at Veolia together in Jones Island as processing engineers at the wastewater plant, before I eventually transitioned to my current role as an actuary. Drew pursued engineering, working at Findorf in Madison, and recently just graduated with a degree in manufacturing engineering from this institution. 3 weeks ago when we were fishing, we were talking about, or 6 weeks ago when we were fishing, we were talking about college plans, post-graduation college plans. And Drew mentioned getting a job, paying $80,000, double what his mom makes at MPS, and having the income to afford his mom's mortgage so that they can keep their house on the south side. And so when people ask what's the value of a degree and how immediate is the impact, I think of stories like my friend Drew, where how in 4 years you can completely transition your family's income and your own life outlook in the matter of 4 years. And so with that, I'll read the resolution. Whereas the members of the Board of Regents are pleased to recognize the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as the official host campus for the board's June 2026 meeting. And the board is grateful for the generous hospitality extended by Chancellor Tom Gibson, and the entire Panther community. And whereas the board's appreciated hearing Chancellor Gibson's presentation, Making Waves, Accelerating Momentum for Enduring Impact, focusing on how UWM is expanding access, enrollment growth, and affordability while advancing its R1 mission. And whereas the Business and Finance Committee thanks Robin Van Harpen, Senior Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administrative Affairs, for providing an update on UW-Milwaukee's financial strategy and investments. And whereas the Capital Planning and Budget Committee learned how UWM is building an enduring physical infrastructure grounded in mission and strategic priorities, including a long-range campus planning engagement process to begin this summer. And whereas the Education Committee heard highlights of how UWM is tackling textbook affordability as a key part of student success. And whereas board members received UWM's annual NCAA Division I Athletics Report from Director of Athletics Amanda Braun, and whereas board members were delighted to get a closer look at UWM's Architecture and Urban Planning building. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Regents hereby thanks UW-Milwaukee for its in-depth presentations, forward-thinking spirit, and its valuable contributions to the universities of Wisconsin and the entire state.
Thank you again to Chancellor Gibson and your entire team. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you to Regent Fritz. Before we end our meeting today, are there any announcements from any regents, anybody, communications, petitions, or memorials? Okay, seeing none. That concludes our meeting today. I want to remind everyone there's a lovely reception waiting for us at the end of the hallway. Thank you. We are adjourned.